Hey everybody, welcome to our weekly Hāpara webinar series. This week we're continuing our look into the Canadian curriculum, and I'm very excited to host our latest guest, Lindsey, with us. Lindsey, thanks for jumping on.
Thank you for having me.
Now Lindsey's an ELA teacher. She was brand new to teaching 3 years ago, and so Hāpara Workspace is all she's ever known. So that's unique within its own. And you embraced it right away with your classes, and so far it's going well, right?
Oh, it's going awesome. Yeah, couldn't imagine it different.
That's great. Now, where are you teaching?
I am teaching in rural Alberta, so by Vermilion, it's small. There's about 300 kids in our school, 7 to 12, so just
Awesome.
outside of Vermilion. Yeah.
We were talking before we jumped on about how it's so nice to see you like actually in the classroom because we haven't gotten to see that in months for most people. So that's wonderful to see.
I'm so excited.
Now, and you guys, we were talking too, you guys get back to school in a couple of weeks then, students are back?
Yeah, they come back on the 1st, actually, I believe.
Oh, okay. Oh, wonderful. And
yeah.
So you'll probably be in some capacity, something like a hybrid type situation, mostly in school.
Yeah, we're gonna try mostly in school and kind of see where it goes from there, hoping for the best, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, so you started using Hāpara a few years ago then, right when you became a teacher. And so do you know kind of why, like what situation your school faced that pointed you kind of towards an online solution, or for you personally, what sparked that interest?
Well, I know, as you said, I've only been for 3 years, but our school's pretty unique. Our principal's really forward thinking. So before I came, I think 7 years ago, he implemented a one-to-one student device program. So I think it really just developed from there. We needed a all-encompassing program to allow for that like online learning that he wanted to take place, which is awesome. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, when you were doing your teacher certification and everything, did you do that face-to-face or distance? Like, had you been kind of a distant student as well before teaching this way?
Funny enough, no, I didn't have a laptop through my university except for my last year. So
Oh, wow.
it was a very huge change for me. It was definitely one that I embraced because I just remember looking around and being like, I'm the only one using a pen and paper anymore. This doesn't make sense. So when they asked me to do it, it definitely was something I kind of jumped into, but it definitely helped everything. I couldn't imagine doing it on paper.
What were some of the biggest challenges for you when you first started out getting into Workspace? Because I know it can be daunting at times. So what were some of the initial fears, and how did you overcome them?
Definitely initial fears was I had like no idea what a Google Doc was at the time, like didn't know any of that stuff. So just the online world was very overwhelming to me, but I have a great staff, and actually I think you interviewed her yesterday, a girl I work with. She definitely helped introduce it to me and get the ropes going. And then once everything was set up, I couldn't believe like having my units done already, and I didn't have to go back and fix them because Workspace allows you to just have everything there and all ready for you and kind of get a monitor how things are going with everything. So it was definitely overwhelming at the start just to see it, but like see someone else using it. But then as soon as she told me how to use it, it was so easy, just seamless, could just put everything online. It was so much better. Yeah.
Now, did you go and create all of your own content? Did you use the Discover feature and kind of use some of other people's content? How did you approach it?
So I had just come out of my practicum, so I definitely had a lot of my mentor teacher stuff I used, and then I definitely used the Discover and then obviously modified because we didn't have at the time, I wasn't able to figure out what was the Alberta curriculum, what was where else. So you found things online and kind of modified it to fit. So it was really exciting that we don't really even have to do that anymore.
That part's very nice.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like Pinterest, where you'd hunt around and find little bits and pieces and paste them all together, right?
Yeah, and then take it from paper copies and put it online and photocopy things. But once you got it done, it was really easy.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. Now, do you use the differentiation part of things? Do you group students differently when you do a workspace?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually have in my grade 9 class, we have what's called knowledge and employability, which is actually an entirely different curriculum, but we have those students embedded in and included in our classroom. So I have that, and then some modified students. So I really, really like that Workspace allows for me to present the information to the kids so that they're all getting the same thing, it looks like, but they're really getting tailored assignments, tailored questions to them. So I definitely have some students who get modified work that don't like feeling alienated. So I really love the differentiation because I can call it the same thing, it'll look the exact same, but it's getting tailored to them to help them succeed in the way that they need it, which is awesome.
That's fantastic. I mean, no one wants to feel different or know that,
No.
you know, when I was in second grade, I got the ESL spelling words because I was such a bad speller that, you know, I feel compassionate for those students who,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, who are in a bit of a different track.
Mm-hmm.
So now as an ELA teacher, do you have any unique challenges with online learning that Hapara has been able to solve, or it's pretty straightforward?
I would say for the ELA aspect, it's actually been so awesome. The only challenge that I would say there is, not even with Workspace, is that we're still like stuck with a paper book, which is fair. But I would really love like the online so the kids can be working on it, annotating, writing their own stuff. But other than that, I actually think Workspace as an English teacher has opened up so much because I can provide the link to, for example, the audio version for the kids. So for students who, again, maybe struggle with reading or just need to hear the words or hear it while looking at the words, they have access to that at all times. And again, they don't need to feel alienated because it's there for everyone to use if they need it, which is great again. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And have your students you can use your screen reader and all that sort of thing too with Workspace. Do your students ever use that for the cards and reading through that information?
Yeah, they use Google Read and Write a lot for that stuff. I also try to read it out for them, but another huge positive as an English teacher is that everything's online, so I don't have to read their handwriting. It's all typed out. That's a huge positive. I couldn't believe how teachers used to read handwriting like that. It's amazing. I don't
It's
get
an
that
art
still.
form that will be lost, being able to read
Yeah,
chicken
no,
scratch.
literally.
What grades are you working with, Lindsay?
I teach grade 8 and 9. Yeah.
Okay, oh, fantastic. That's
Yeah.
I love that grade, but they're you know, challenging within their own right, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So.
Everyone's always very shocked that I teach grade 8 and 9, and they're just so much fun. They're so fun. They're a little wild, but they're so fun.
They're wild, but still young enough to like think that
Yeah.
you're kind of cool and interesting and want to be your
Yeah.
student, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm riding on they think I'm cool still. We'll see for another year. I don't think so.
Just ride it while you've got it.
Yeah.
So now, being fairly new to teaching and using Hapara right from the get-go, have you corresponded with any of your, you know, the other students that you got your teaching certification with that maybe aren't using that type of environment and explored some of the challenges that maybe they've been facing?
I have definitely a few that I've kept in contact with that are working within Edmonton, so the greater area. A lot of them do have, they're not using Workspace, but they are using different programs, which I think aren't as great. But they do have access to the technology, at least. A lot of the places around here, again, being rural, we don't have a lot of the online access. So I know, like I said, during my practicum and stuff, those teachers definitely didn't have the one-to-one device ratio. So I think they come with that kind of struggle, which is a lot of where my friends from university who are now teachers, they don't get to see the side of the technology or the workspace or anything like that because they don't really have the access to that kind of like infrastructure right now, unfortunately. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's one of the interesting things that is coming out of the pandemic is this instantaneous push to one-to-one because it was forced in a lot of situations. So I know that in Edmonton, a lot of those divisions, it's, you know, it's rapidly accelerating at the rate that they can find computers, at least, because I know it's hard to find the devices right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just probably quite overwhelming. We were lucky enough that our principal is very forward thinking that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys have always, I mean, we've worked with you now, your district or school division, I think for 5, 6 years, a long time. And so you guys have
Yeah.
always been at the front of the technology and kind of, yeah, it's great. It's great to see districts like you and how you're able to tackle those problems.
Thanks. Yeah.
Now when COVID hit, you guys went all remote, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how did that go? Talk to me a little bit about your experience with that. You mean you were sent home one day basically and told that you still had to teach. So
Yeah. Well, actually, we weren't sent home. We had to come to school every day. Our students were all sent home.
okay.
But we took about a week to get everything figured out, like how are we going to do this. It was a Sunday night at 6 p.m. when they canceled school for the next Monday. So it was very like, oh my goodness, what are we doing? But yeah, we got it about a week. We figured out a program we could use, and the teachers who weren't quite yet on, they were on Hāpara, but maybe not the workspace aspect. We got them kind of shuffled over, so that the students who had been using it, which is almost all of the kids before, they were comfortable with the program. They knew what to expect from it. So all of the other classes that weren't on it were moved on to it. And then we were able to record our live lessons and implement that into Workspace. So we had all of our lessons recorded for a student who missed it on Workspace in a separate section. And then all of their activities and everything that they were used to just kind of stayed the same, obviously modified for the timing and what was going on. But it actually was very, very seamless, except figuring out the recording. How do we record ourselves? Everything other than that, because we had Workspace already, it was very, very easy because the students knew what they expected. They were able to just kind of continue on. Obviously, they were really excited to not have school for a bit there, but we got back to them. Yeah, they only got it for a little while.
I was
Yeah.
talking to one of our customers, and they said that since the pandemic, really, and I'm based in Chicago. I'm formerly used to live in Victoria, but they said that students will officially never again have a snow day after all, because there's no reason that they can't now work and learn from home. So it's
Yeah.
times are
They're
changing.
getting out.
Yeah. Someone sent in a question. They asked that they're also from a rural school district, limited resources, opportunities for students. And they said, how has Hāpara helped with getting more opportunities for your students?
Oh, okay. So that's awesome. So yeah, so with things like that, for example, English, I teach like a novel study. We're able to like Skype with authors and things like that because of the online aspect. I also am able to implement like videos and things like that the students might not have been able to have gotten before. So for example, we teach the Boy in the Striped Pajamas, which is about the Holocaust. So we're able to take a virtual tour of Auschwitz, the concentration camp, through Workspace, because you can embed the link and everything like that, which is an opportunity students might not be able to have. You might not be able to go places, but you're able to, and especially with the COVID situation, people are putting things online so that students can experience them from home. So I think having them all in one place really lets the students be able to experience things that maybe a rural community doesn't always have the ability to experience, right? You're not able to go all of these places, but you can virtually, which I think is as close as we can get really with our resources. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic example. I really like that one. That's and a really good book. So that part too.
Yeah.
When I was that age, I did Night, I think.
Oh, yes. Yes.
When you do now, does your school district, do you guys have kind of a set number of workspaces where teachers kind of go in and get it and use it, or does everyone kind of do their own thing, or how does that work at your, from your school division?
So we generally get to like make our own. So we have a lot of autonomy with that, a lot of choice. So we can go and create our own. We obviously have access to other people's if we want to like borrow things like that, which is awesome because I know, for example, my mom, she's a teacher as well. But when she was first starting out, a lot of people didn't want to share resources because it was very competitive, which blows my mind because people like, you want to improve, you want to help the students. So the fact that we can go out there on the workspaces and just see entire units, things like that, is really awesome. It really creates a community where we're building to become like more professional learners and things like that. So I really, really like that we have the choice to be able to create our own, which is awesome, but also we have the ability to communicate and work with others to create one together if we wanted to. Yeah.
That's great. We've got a bunch of new school districts in Alberta and across Canada that are coming on board fresh in September, which is really exciting. What advice do you have for a teacher who hasn't used it yet, who is coming into it totally new? Because it's, from our company's perspective, we found that at times it can be overwhelming. So from a teacher's perspective, what kind of advice do you have?
I would definitely reach out and ask questions. So I know specifically for Alberta, there's a Facebook group, which is Alberta Sharing Resources. And I know a teacher actually reached out on it last week. They must be one of the people who are gaining this, because they were asking how to use it. And it's definitely easier when you get the support of other people who have used it. I know I definitely tried struggling through it the first 2 weeks. Again, new teacher, I was shy. I didn't really want to talk to the other teachers. I was scared. But once you branch out and actually get someone's help, it is so much easier. And there is a lot of stuff. And there is also the program that you guys have where you can like go through it and learn it like step by step, which is super awesome. I suggest doing that because even using it after 3 years, I took it last year and I learned a whole bunch of new stuff that I didn't know was there. So I would definitely suggest doing that. Definitely suggest reaching out to people who have used it, even on social media. We're there to help figure it out because it's not fun figuring it out on your own.
Absolutely. It's a little bit like Excel. I've used it for 15 years and I probably know 5% of the functionality of it. And you get like new little tips and tricks every once in a while, or we call them Hapara hacks, where someone uses it for something that they didn't intend to use it for at all.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So you took the Hāpara Champions program then?
I did, yeah. And then I'm going to take the Scholar one this fall, I believe. I'm trying to. I haven't yet.
Yeah. So for the people listening, Hāpara's got a certification program similar to like the Google Champions certification program, 3 different levels, and it's included with the subscription. So you just sign up. It's done. What did it take? 8 hours or so, kind of on your own.
Yeah.
And it's done from a it's done that way, and learn lots of amazing things. And then we also have the Hāpara community, which is if you Google Hāpara community, you can get registered in there, and there's thousands of teachers in there sharing ideas and talking about different things. I think there's even an Alberta thread within the Hāpara community where you guys share information in there as well. So that's another really good resource for teachers that are new to the tool that wasn't available when you first got into the tool. So it's we're growing too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, within your school, do you guys do any of your professional learning in Workspaces, or have you guys not quite gotten there yet?
We have done a few. So we have, and I can't think of what they're called right now, but like learning tech coaches that will come in and set up workspaces that we do, like learning a new application or something through. And I actually, so you mentioned that the Hāpara course was online. I actually did mine. A woman came in and taught it through a workspace that way. So it was actually kind of interesting because we were using Workspace while learning about it. So it was very interesting that way. So we do have some things we're getting more and more that they're using Workspace for professional learning and professional development. And I assume probably more this year because we can't all come together and meet as a district like we used to.
That's great. We just did a kind of a new product feature last week, and one of the things that was coming out was, because a lot of schools like yours, they will use Workspace for professional learning, and we think that's fantastic, because why wouldn't you teach it within the tool that you're asking your teachers to teach with? But we've got a new a new section, which will just be professional learning, so that you can put teachers in there, do your professional learning, and it'll be discoverable through the Hāpara Discovery page as well. So lots of school districts like yours is starting to move some of that activity over, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. We've got one person here whose comment said that they're using Hāpara. They had been using Google Classroom, now they're using Workspace. They're using them together and they're really liking it. So that's great. Have you gotten a chance, Lindsay, to take a look at the new student dashboard yet?
I have. It was beta last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So some of my students switched over last year, and then it switched over I've switched over a couple weeks ago and been working on it that way. Definitely. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and so hopefully for the kids in the upcoming year, it'll be an easier way, because I know you guys you're pretty much totally Workspace. Some school districts like to use Classroom and Workspace, or some teachers will just use Classroom, and so it'll kind of bring all of that information together for kids. So hopefully it makes life a little less hectic, especially if they have to do things from a distance.
Yeah.
That's great. Now you've contributed a number of the workspaces that you've done to the sharing is caring. I always get it wrong. The sharing is caring initiative. I'm just curious, what sparked your why? Because as you said, sometimes people are protective over their materials.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it really stems from the fact that, so I come from a long line of teachers, but I definitely had, my mother and my sister definitely had experiences where they might have been like struggling to find things, starting a new program or whatever, and people just weren't there to support them and help them with resources, which I guess the competitive field that it can be, but I just really enjoy working in an environment where my colleagues are there to help me and support and grow. So I feel like we can branch that out with this caring is sharing program.
Yeah. It sounds like it should be caring and sharing, but I think that works both ways.
It works. But yeah, this initiative, it really allows me to, and as you said, I've only been a teacher for about 3 or 4 years. So I definitely know what it's like to struggle as the first year or starting a new curriculum or anything like that. So I think it really creates a community of support where we can construct, we can discuss, we can change things, and just help each other with our professional learning, because it's really all about striving to do better, to create new things, to keep engagement, all of that stuff. So there's no point keeping it to yourself. That's not the point.
I love that attitude. One of the things that's easy within Workspace too is you can add a co-teacher to a workspace, so you can easily have multiple classes within the same workspace. Have you collaborated with teachers and done workspaces across different classrooms yet?
So we definitely were setting one up for when everything kind of went down, but we were doing a social studies English. We were going to do Boy in the Striped Pajamas and youth criminal, or no, there's a novel study with Speak actually. But it has to do with like an assault of a young woman in grade 9, and it is going to, or was going to, coordinate with the Youth Criminal Justice Act in Social 9. So we were planning to have, and we had it all kind of set up to do it that way, and then we kind of had to change things when COVID. So I'm hoping this year we can really get that going again, because I really was excited for like the cross-curricular aspects there that we could do. Yeah.
I love that idea. That's great. We also have, we've got a few schools that participate in a kind of an international shared workspace project we've done. So we've done projects where, a classroom in Ontario, one in California, and one in New Zealand have all worked collaboratively on an environmental studies project. So we hope to do more of that as well, and be able to connect through the community, be able to connect more teachers, so that rural schools can connect with, metropolitan schools, here in Chicago or something, and be able to exchange that different perspective.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Definitely.
Just takes a little bit of coordination and some amazing teachers, but we're lucky. Hāpara is lucky to have a lot of those like yourself. So.
Thank you.
Of course. One of the things that we were talking yesterday a little bit about, and I'm just curious, is that we did a webinar, one of your students from your district, one from Ohio, California, and New Zealand about a month and a half ago. And their main feedback was that during the shutdown, that the thing that they missed more than anything was that one-on-one personal connection with their teacher. You know, because there was no one to notice when they were having a bad day. And so I'm just curious, you know, and we've got a lot of US customers, and then depending on where it is in Canada, you know, there will be still some of that hybrid distance learning that happens. And if there's a resurgence, who knows? So what were you able to do? What would you do in the future, you know, to make that kind of one-on-one connection?
The best thing that I thought we did the synchronous time. So we were able to talk to the kids instead of just sending out. So I know, again, with the devices, things like that, we were able to talk to them, but other schools had to send out the paper and stuff like that. So they never actually got a lot of interaction. But definitely for kids who needed it, we definitely hung out like afterwards. We set up, for example, we set up a battleship tournament with our students so we could play them in battleship and like talk to them and stuff for kids who needed it. Just kind of, even we'd have like a chat open or face-to-face meet and just have music kind of playing and things like that, because there's definitely some kids who struggled with their home environment, right? And school was kind of a reprieve. So we tried to have that as much as we could. I know for sure one of the other teachers here would spend like 3 hours at a time just meeting with different students. So she just has the biggest heart, being able to do that all the time. And I think that definitely helped. We set up for sure, like, as I said, we were in the school. So we have a lot of construction going on in our school. So we set up like social media accounts so the kids could still see what's going on and all of that stuff. I definitely suggest being able to get the face-to-face with the kids as much as you can, because like it's not as fun teaching when they're not there. Otherwise, you're just talking at something, and that's, as much as it's easy classroom management wise, it's not what you want. So definitely having the face-to-face aspect was the biggest thing that even helped me, because like we miss them so much. They might pretend they don't miss us, but a lot of them miss us, right? So just being able to interact with them as much as we can, because it was a hard time for sure.
Absolutely, it was hard for everybody. So
Oh yeah.
It was definitely special. It was a memory. It was a memory, if nothing else. Yeah,
it was a new experience.
Definitely. Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with our group and kind of talk about Workspace and your experience so far. You know, you may have only been teaching for a few years now, but your energy and the direction that you're taking it is fantastic. And so I know that a lot of people can benefit from kind of that fresh perspective on things and immediately diving into the online education. Because for people who haven't done it before, or, you know, been doing it a certain way for 15, 20 years, it's very daunting and difficult to change that rapidly.
Yeah, it definitely can be, yeah.
Thank you for that. And for everyone listening, if you've got questions about anything, please feel free to send them in. More than happy to answer them. If you think of something, you know, that you want to ask Lindsey after our webinar, feel free to send it in. I'll reach out. But thank you so much, Lindsey, for taking the time to meet with us. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe, and all the best.
Perfect. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thanks.
Excellent. Bye now.